You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts.
Hello.
So here we are with Love Your Shelf, episode 4.8. I don't know why we even say it. But, and we should probably also, include the title. No, I don't think we need to include the title in the introduction.
We definitely come up with the title after.
I don't think we've ever once come up with a title until after, so.
No.
We'll see where the day takes us.
Yeah, we're go rogue kind of ladies, so we can't plan a title ahead of time.
No. And we're very hit or miss on the titles, too. I was looking back and I thought, who signed off on this? And it was like, you did, obviously.
It was one of us.
Yeah, it's terrible. So we're going to work harder today. Have some ideas that might work out.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about a couple of new books that I'm reading or that we've gotten, and then a few shows. But then because inspired by a couple of the books that have come out, and some other themes, I have compiled a list of nonfiction and fiction books about libraries or that have something to do with a library.
Love it.
Because everybody wants to read those.
Yes.
Not just librarians.
Everyone's interested in the secrets of the library.
Yeah. I mean, if dinner parties are any indication, everybody wants to know what's going on in the library. And it's wild.
Buckle up.
Yeah. So I just started reading the first adult fiction book by Holly Black. She normally writes YA, which I have also liked. Book of Night. It's good.
Is that K-N-I or N-I?
Just N-I.
Got it.
Yeah. And it's very much, and I guess depending on whether you like these books or not, you'll take this as a compliment or detriment.
Sure.
But it's kind of like Stephanie Plum, like J.D. Robb books, where you've got this strong female character. She's down and out. She kind of lives a rough life. Yeah. You know, she's a bartender.
Forgets to brush her hair.
Exactly. It was that kind of thing. As I'm like, what? Like,
no. I'm the queen. Hello.
Yeah. Well, I'm also not living a rough life too much, I guess. I mean, according to some people.
Right.
Maybe,
Right.
So, she's, bartender. She has this, real tough, gruff, mysterious boyfriend who's mysteriously wonderful but has a history or something. You gotta have one of those.
Yes.
And then she takes care of her sister who's younger, and then supernatural stuff happens. And so basically, I haven't finished it. I've got maybe the last fourth of it left, and I'll finish it this weekend. But it's it alludes to the fact that it's basically like the same time that we are in now. But at some point, magic has been unleashed on the world, or supernatural stuff.
Okay.
And so, but they kind of refer to the fact that it hasn't always been that way.
Okay.
So they don't. So it's kind of like as if this had happened to us right now.
Yes.
In a couple of years, how would we have felt about that?
Okay.
About that whole thing.
Okay.
So it's a kind of a unique take on it.
Yeah.
So it's totally contemporary, but.
Except for the magic.
Yeah.
That
Which
little
is
thing.
just the story of my life. And so, but I'm enjoying it. It's a little rough and tumble, but, if you like that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of trying to solve a mystery,
I'm all about it, man.
Yeah. So, Book of Night, Holly Black. She wrote the first book of hers that I read, and I wasn't aware that it was YA. I should have, picked up on that, but it was called The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, which the title is what drew me in.
Yeah.
I was like, that also is the story of my life.
Coldest girl.
So we're clearly simpatico in some way. Anyway, and then another book came out recently, or just came out, The Bookwoman's Daughter by Kim Michelle Richardson, which is the follow-up to The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek, which was super popular. And there was several novels that came out. Jojo Moyes also wrote The Giver of Stars, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is about these women during the Depression era that rode donkeys and whatever horses out into the wilderness to take books to people that didn't have access to them.
Right.
And so there's another tale of that happening. But I guess it's apparently about the Bookwoman's daughter. So have not finished it, but I picked it up. And
is she a rebel? Is she like, I hate books, Mom?
No.
I don't want to join the family business.
I will not spoil that for you.
Okay, okay.
You can probably guess where it's going to go. And so then let's skip ahead. We'll talk about some of the shows that I'm really excited about right now.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into our library list. But I talked about a few weeks ago Outer Range.
Yes.
Which is on Amazon.
Yes.
With Josh Brolin plays the patriarch of this family. And it goes off all the rails.
Wow, yeah. I mean,
jumps back on, goes off again.
Yeah, yeah.
It goes way further than what
I can't even. So yeah, I watched 2.5 episodes, and then my husband had to study for finals, so I'm like real out of touch.
Well, there's 8 total, and the last 2 just came out.
Okay.
So,
we'll have to do that on Sunday or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I like what they're doing when they put 2 episodes out at a time. That was nice.
But man, if they know how to end the second episode,
yeah,
on a real cliffhanger,
it was.
Or it'll be like, I've seen a couple shows like this that come out with the 2 at a time. The first episode, where you get a new an episode right after, ends on like an exciting high note,
right?
But then the second episode ends on a low cliffhanger note,
what?
And I need to know what's gonna happen. Jerks, they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So I'm along for the ride with it.
Yeah.
I will suspend my disbelief.
Yes.
I mean, I want to see what they're going to do with it, but it's definitely taking like David Lynch tones. There's some just real absurd stuff.
I could see that. I mean, even just the way some of the characters show, like the hippie girl who's camping on his land. Mm-hmm. For some reason, something about her is David Lynch to me, and it's
they fully embrace that.
And
too.
I haven't even gotten to know her very well yet. But
I think it's the crazy eyes that she has.
She has some crazy eyes.
She does. You look at her and you immediately clock that.
I know.
I don't want anything to do with that. That's what you get from working in a public library. You know
crazy eyes when you see them, man.
Across the room.
Yep. I would not let that person camp on my land.
Well, there's so many inexplicable things, but it starts to make more sense. But it only makes sense in this weird alternate universe fictional world that
Do you mean
created.
like some of the decisions that
Yes.
are made that were making you crazy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes more sense, and there's other stuff going on.
Okay.
But
cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking about it after you've seen it.
I'll try to. I think Sunday we have a free day, so I'll try to binge on Sunday.
Yeah. Whew, goodness, it's great. So I also watched Russian Doll season 2 and finished it. And there's a reference to, or they mention going to a library and getting reference service in one of the episodes. They also talk about zines. So
nice.
it's very, I think lots of things are library friendly. It kind of, sometimes there's kind of a trend going that direction and then you don't hear about it much. But that show, there was no rails for that show ever to go off of. So it just started out, it's just a really crazy premise where Natasha Lyonne's character dies and then wakes up and she's back in the same day again, over, like a Groundhog Day kind of thing. And so she's trying to figure it out for the whole first season, kind of does. Yeah. And then in the first season, she meets someone else who's like her. And then the second season, they kind of join forces and they have a whole different take on how all this stuff works.
Right, okay.
And how it works changes.
I mean, I've watched I haven't watched the second season yet, but I watched the trailer for it, and it seems like there's like time travel involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, curious how that's going to come into play, all of it.
It was I don't know. Because, like I said, I usually, if it's entertaining, if it's thought-provoking, if there's some kind of, mystery quirkiness or whatever, I'm down for it. I'll follow along. But I did that for the first season, but then I also, like, if you're going to change how everything works, like, you're no longer dying every day, or like she had, like, that part's done for.
That's what I was wondering, because, like, you can't, I mean, also, from our point of view, I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
So, but there's a whole other dimension of what's going on, which,
Well, and then I'm like, where are they going to go from that?
Exactly.
I mean, not that I can even fathom what, anyway. Woo.
And then by the end of the season, it's still, they act like they've kind of, there we go, we figured it out. And you're just, no, you didn't. You did not.
I have no idea what's going on.
Exactly. So, just a little warning on that one. Although it is entertaining if you're into, like, this sort of, very quirky, foul-mouthed New Yorker chick.
She's great.
Yeah.
But, that is one of those series where the first season came out, and I think I watched it pretty immediately and binged it. And then the second season came out, and I'm like, it's been long enough that I've sort of, I don't know, my excitement about it has worn off a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I might dive in someday.
Well, that's that's definitely how I was with that show. And it was 3 years between the first season and...
See, I was wondering. It's been 3 years?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, I had to go back and, like, watch the extended full recap of everything that happened.
Yeah, no kidding.
Then there's a second season of the show Made for Love. Which, another one, just a very bonkers premise.
What is that one? I've not watched it.
It's like this tech guru guy who has his wife who they live inside this basically
I do remember
a bubble
this.
kind of thing, but it's like a whole other reality, but they're away from the rest of the world.
Is it the woman from Palm Springs?
Yes.
And isn't Ray Romano like her dad?
Yes.
Or was? Yeah, okay, yes.
Yeah, so that's the second season. I've just seen the first episode of that second season.
Cool.
But I was glad to see it come back. I like her a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
And Ray Romano's character is hilarious. And it's just, there's lots of wacky stuff happening in that one. And then somebody was saying, or, I was looking for other recommendations for things to watch. Mm-hmm. And somebody said that Abbott Elementary was like one of the best new shows.
Yes, I just finished it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know what you think. Because I just watched the first episode, and my mother was a teacher. Mm-hmm. And it was too real. It was funny. But, like, the humor comes out of the fact that they have no budget. And that, and how they're all, burnt out. And I was like, oh, this is depressing because this is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're making it into a joke.
Yeah. But it is such a, the woman who is the main character, like, it's her baby. This show is her baby. And I adore her. I'm like, where has she been? So you've only seen the first episode?
Yes.
Okay. The principal is...
The first episode, the principal's like, here, I've got $5,000 or whatever the amount is, and we're going to, boost morale. And then she gets a sign put on the building.
I can't even remember what it was.
It's just like the name of the elementary with her, like, sitting there.
Being sassy
arms
or something.
akimbo.
Yeah. And there came a point where I was kind of like, they're going a little too far with the principal, and then they kind of find a way to, like, rein her in, but still keep her character, like, funny and there for it. Because it got to a point where I was like, this woman cannot be a principal. Like, this is ridiculous.
Needs to have it,
yeah, but then they found a way to, like, keep her on, but also keep her personality, a part of it. Because she does crack me.
Well, I might give it a chance then. But at first I wasn't in the mood to see, like, how terrible
I definitely kind of had to make the decision to, like, I don't know, remove myself from...
Like I said, I can watch these other crazy shows about whatever.
Yeah.
But then this show...
You're like, no.
Too much reality. I can't. You know, if there's aliens in there, fine.
One of my friends is a teacher. She teaches 5th grade, and she was like, I really liked it, but I was just wondering, like, why do all these teachers get hour lunch breaks and have all this free time? And I was like, girl, no, I know.
Yeah, they're all chatting all the time and hanging out.
All together. It's not like who's watching the children right now.
Right, yeah. Yeah, teachers don't get to see each other during the day. They're scheduled down to the second, basically. Right,
but yeah, my aunt also was a teacher, and she watched the show, and she said that she loves how all of the sort of stereotypes are so true. Like the 2 teachers, the older teachers who have been there for a really long time, like she's like, she named 2 teachers that she worked with. She was like, that was her, and then this person was this person. And
yeah.
It's ultimately very sweet. It's funny.
Okay, well, you've convinced me.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Then one more show, The Wilds, just started the 2nd season. I believe they're all out, but I just watched the first episode. Basically, I talked about it back when it first came out, I think. But it's about this like group of girls that are supposed to be going to this retreat kind of thing, elite kind of island thing. And then their plane crashes in the ocean. They wash up on this island, and then they have to survive. And then something mysterious, very Lost kind of stuff happens.
I was going to say, it's like Lost with teenage girls. Yeah. And I'm not mad about that.
Yeah. Some people, that would kill it for them, but...
No, like I only watched it, I've gotten about halfway through the first season, but I was really enjoying it. And yeah, it wasn't what I expected it to be. It was, I liked it.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, I'm in it for this one too. Although, at the end of the last season, I'm going to assume if you haven't, like, 2 years in, we can talk about the last season.
Oh, sure.
So, there's boys. Let's put it this way.
What?
Yeah. So, they're not commingling at this point, but there's apparently the same thing that has been done to the girls has been done to a group of boys, and then it's kind of... And at first I was like, I don't want to watch the same show, but just with a different gender.
Right.
But it's not that. So it's showing the boys, but then it also
although that is an interesting... I was going to say a word that might give it away, but...
Yeah.
Situation.
Right. Very vague. But, so I'm going to give it a chance.
Yeah.
So far, the first season, I wasn't convinced that I was going to enjoy it. In fact, it kind of just seemed a little bit, goofy.
Yeah.
But it was goofy in a way that was entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like silly teenage girl stuff, but the mystery sort of at the center of it was enough for me.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah, like was enough for me to want to know what's going to happen next.
Right. And when I say goofy, I don't mean like slapstick. I mean, about the teen girl thing. It's definitely, don't go into it. Crystal said this was a goofy show, and no.
They're
very
getting
dark.
Hit on the head with coconuts.
I could just hear the sound effects
juggling,
now. Yeah. No, it's not like that.
No.
And yesterday, or maybe, anyway, very recently, Radio Rental has new episodes.
Whoa.
So the
they weren't
podcast,
messing around.
Yeah. So there are 2 new episodes with 2 stories each. And for some reason, my podcast stuff did not tell me about this.
Okay, that's
so
annoying.
My sister mentioned it. And then she said then the first story is about a library.
I knew you were going to say that.
Of course, because everything's about libraries right
I hope
now.
that I was super unimpressed with the second season.
Yes.
I mean...
Well, let me say that I've listened to both episodes, and there is some more action, but there's not as much just uncanniness as there was in the first one, where you're really just, like, they're just very bizarre happenings.
Yes. I mean, things I have never read about or heard about or watched anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the one about the public library is, I mean, really something like that happens all the time.
Oh my God.
And so, it's kind of how it's like this person's perception and that, anyway, so it's not a bad story, but it wasn't like, wow, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Sure.
So, but.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
So anyway, but Radio Rental, if you haven't been already following it and listening to it, that first season of it, the first few episodes.
Nuts.
Yeah. In a very good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of libraries, about everything, we've got a list here. And so this is by no means, like if you look up books about libraries, you're going to be busy for a while. So, and I started like just, this one, gathering everything that I'd read or whatever. And then I had to start curating it. So
it was
I'm
just
cutting
getting
it
out of control.
Totally out of control. So I'm going to mention some that are nonfiction, but kind of about like from a humorous side.
Yeah.
Then nonfiction that's more serious, and then some fiction.
Okay.
And I think all of these, they're definitely not just for librarians, but have kind of different views or whatever, outlooks on what all that means.
Cool.
The first one is Dear Fahrenheit 451, Love and Heartbreak in the Stacks by Annie Spence. And she's a librarian. She's a Gen X gal like me. And it's just about the stuff that goes on. But her like take on it is that the book is in like the format of these like notes to whatever she's thinking about. So to books or, whatever. And then there's a part of it, or there's like one section where it's like a little game for yourself where here's the title of the book and then here's the subtitle.
Yeah.
And you match them, see if you can find the match.
Cute.
So there's
funny.
just, it's funny little stuff like that that's,
It's so librarian.
Yes, exactly. Then there's I Work at a Public Library, a collection of crazy stories from the stacks by Gina Sheridan.
That's genius.
And that used to be a blog or like that. I think the book came from a blog that was called I Work at a Public Library.
Yeah.
And that was one of those where one of the strangest experiences that I've had that I will not record. I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay.
Maybe I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But strangest thing happened to somebody else, and I found it in that blog.
What?
Yeah. And so I was like, wow, we really do have parallel experiences in libraries.
Oh my gosh.
So it just kind of records these like strange but really funny things. I don't know. The good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, totally.
There's another book that's not as good as that, but basically the same thing, called Free for All, Oddballs, Geeks, and Gangstas, with an A, in the Public Library by Dawn Borchert. Dawn, please. Let's don't use the... Anyway.
Did he originally have, like, gangsters?
Probably.
And someone told him to change it?
Yeah, that's not very hip, Dawn. Anyway, so it's basically this guy who's had done all of these things, like door-to-door sales or whatever, and he ends up being a librarian and then is, finds it all very wacky.
Even after going door to door? Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. And so it's another one like that. It's a little bit older, and like I said, it doesn't, I don't know, maybe a little more out of touch than for me,
honestly,
at least.
I'm not even going to say it. That word alone dates it.
I didn't even want to say it when I said the title.
You had to.
Such a dork. Anyway.
We are the last people.
Exactly.
Except for Dawn.
Dawn was the last one, and now we're doing it.
Bringing it back.
Yeah. So then there's some more serious nonfiction, including Bibliotech, Why Libraries Matter More Than Ever in the Age of Google by John Palfrey, and this came out a few years ago. And I think at the time, when I read it, I was like, duh, yeah, obviously. But maybe not everybody knows that because I hear librarians say all the time that people come up to them and say, well, why do you even have a job when there's Google? That kind of thing.
Oh, my gosh.
Nobody's said that to me in a while, but that might be because of my own crazy eyes.
Right. They
warning them, like, don't even.
I'm making the craziest eyes of all time. They were like, ooh.
Yeah. Whatever you're doing, it is important. And there's another one that's mostly photos, but also very interesting, called Improbable Libraries, A Visual Journey to the World's Most Unusual Libraries by Alex Johnson. And so it's like places where they have books delivered on elephants. And then all of these beautiful, beautiful photographs.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So definitely check it out. And it's not a big book. It's not like a big coffee table book. But it's got amazing visual images. And then this is another book that's older, so it kind of has maybe lost some of the, I don't know, you could make up your own mind about it. But it's called This Book is Overdue, How Librarians and Cybrarians Can Save Us All by Marilyn Johnson. One clue, nobody says cybrarian anymore. That's 20 years ago when the internet was new, And so that gives you a little bit of an idea. Sure. But it's kind of the same thing of like, here's what these people do.
Yeah.
And then there's The Meaning of the Library, A Cultural History by Alice Crawford. And this goes from ancient times to now. All different kind of, whatever you might want to know about the history of libraries. And there's a bunch more of that in that vein. So if you're interested in that, I could give lots more recommendations there, but
This is where the curating came in.
Exactly. So then there's fiction where the libraries somehow factor into them in some way. The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. It is, you really like sort of delve into this alternate universe. It's very rich and has all of these details and rules and stuff, but kind of centers on a library.
Cool.
A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness is about a witch who discovers the existence of vampires and other magic creatures because she's a historian looking into something in the Bodleian Library. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
just
great.
Everybody wants to think about doing that.
Yes.
She's an Oxford scholar, so. Then there's The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger.
That's right, yeah.
And so it's about this couple. The husband is a librarian, and he spontaneously time travels is the kind of what happens to him.
I think so, yeah. I don't think it's like...
He can't control it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a seizure disorder, but you travel through time.
Right.
And it's very good.
It's a great book.
Yeah. Very sad and romantic, if you're into that kind of thing. It's very good. Then there's The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This just came out a couple of years ago. It was super duper popular. He's gotten very popular because of it. So check that one out. Then there's, I mentioned before, The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. And so this is based on a true story about these pack horse librarians and the kinds of trouble they got into. They're just basically going out in the holler and delivering books and magazines and stuff. And then they encounter all of these people. It's basically like what we're talking about, the craziness of a public library, but you have to take it to the people in their in their shacks in the woods. So
no.
Yeah, we have it pretty good here.
Yeah, we do.
And then there's another one that I wasn't aware of, so I started it, called The Borrower by Rebecca Mackay. And this is another one where you're just going to have to kind of embrace it if you're not going to embrace it. The reviews I saw of it were that would never happen, that's terrible, and you just got to go with it.
Yeah.
And so basically it's not fantasy, but it's fictional, about a young children's librarian who meets this little boy who's got very unforgiving parents, and he hides out in the library, and one day she's just inspired just to run away with him, like take him and rescue him from his family. And so, yeah.
I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, I think that's one of those that's just going to be like...
you might just need to run with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or not.
Yeah, or not at all.
And then
I would be so fired.
Yeah, fired is not the only thing that you would be at that point. But, like, she crosses state lines with the kids. So, yeah.
What's your
it
plan?
all works out, but... Just,
so I'm interested just to be like, what's the plan, Phil? Like, what are you doing?
So many people were just like, I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't just stop thinking how wrong it is to do that. But, so we'll leave it at that.
How funny.
And then I have the last couple of selections are what I would call my POMO, postmodern ones. that are just, you know, more literary, I think.
Sure.
And then, so there's The Library of Babel by Jorge Luis Borges, which is beautiful and very complicated and trippy and mind-boggling, but you really kind of do have to, but it's amazing to read it.
Cool.
And it's that and a lot of his discussions about those kinds of things, it's remarked on in films and books.
Cool.
And just one of those, like, you know, from 50, 60 years ago, I guess, that, you know, just turned the world on its ear.
Nice.
And then there's a more recent postmodern one called The Strange Library by Haruki Murakami. And it is just this little short illustrated novel that's just
cool
about this little boy who's, it's like a nightmare kind of thing. It's not cute.
Oh my gosh.
He's like trapped in a library, in a book, essentially. And so so if that sounds
I'm
interesting,
intrigued, yeah.
And it's very short and very bizarre.
Yeah.
You know, it's not very, there's not that much of like a story arc. There's like a sheep man in it, you know, just to give you an idea. So, but if you're into Murakami, then you know that.
Cool,
So, there's that. And then I'll mention briefly the Invisible Library series by Genevieve Cogman, which has been super popular. I kind of didn't get into it as much, but there's multiples in that series, and a lot of people really like it. I just never got through the first one.
Okay.
But I felt like I had to mention it because it's been very popular and it's very recent.
If it's not your thing, it's someone else's.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So... Cool. That was we went rapid fire through all of that, but
hope y'all were taking notes.
Yeah, in fact, I feel like when we started this, we used a little website that would log all of the things that we were doing.
Talking about
and then I felt like I don't know if anybody's looking at this, so I stopped.
Yeah.
But now I try to go back.
I was going to say,
remember what I
for our sake.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to start just putting a list in the description. That way,
just so we're not like going into detail about something we've already gone into detail. Yeah,
I'm sure I've done that.
Oh yeah, me too. And I've heard it like I've never heard it before in my life.
We're not good at catching each other on those things.
We are great. It is great because like we can tell each other stories over and over again, and I'll be like, nope, never heard this one before.
That's a knee slapper, all right.
It's the craziest thing I ever heard.
I just told you that yesterday.
Please don't test me on that.
No. I don't want to know. Anyway. And if you guys that are listening, if you have more that you want to mention about libraries, that's very commonly something that people ask about, or that people are interested in for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Libraries are fascinating.
They are
not just to librarians. I don't think.
Like, it always cracks me up whenever people come to some sort of event after hours. Mm-hmm. I mean, I run around this place all the time, and people are like, whoa, it's empty. I mean, even just that is exciting.
Yeah. Oh, they're like, what do you do after hours?
I do work. Yeah. I'd rather be at home, probably, but...
Yeah, it's not. It's different for us.
Yeah.
Speaking of after hours, we have coming up the Literary Ball on June the 3rd, and it's the Friends of the Library's only annual fundraiser. I say annual because we've done it once.
This is our second annual.
Yes, so we've done it before.
COVID ruined things.
Yes. Yeah. But we're doing it again. So basically, we transform the library into like a visual world of all these different stories. And people dress up as their favorite characters.
This year's
of whatever
theme,
kind.
did you say, is fairy tales?
Once upon a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have food that's thematically related to all of the different stories. Mm-hmm. And we have a couple of extra things this year that's going along with it. We're combining a locavore meal, basically, in conjunction with the farmer's market. Mm-hmm. And they're providing produce and delicious food, and we're going to use that to create the dishes that we're going to serve. And then we also have the Webster Show, Art by Definition, which is 26 artists. Each took a page from the dictionary each for one letter.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're creating art, and we're going to have it displayed that night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be part of a silent auction.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of your favorite local artists have, pieces in this show. And so people are going to be, it's going to be like a knockdown, knock out, throw down, drag out.
Yeah,
I don't know
knock down, throw out.
Lots of,
It's going to be violent. I'm just kidding. It's not going to be violent at all. But it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing. You can see the art. You can buy it.
We're going to have costumes. We encourage you to wear costumes.
Contests.
Yeah.
We'll have live music.
Yes.
From the new, hippest, newest cover band in Nacogdoches, Huffy and the Paintfish.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be the real deal.
Yeah.
Real party.
You can get tickets on Eventbrite, and you should.
Yeah.
And if for some reason you're listening to this in the future, after June 3rd, 2022.
You missed out.
It was amazing.
It was the best night of my life.
It was a rager in the library. And so you're going to want to...
Yeah, don't let that
join
be
the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't miss out.
So, all right.
Yeah, it's the weekend.
Yes, it is.
And we're going to go enjoy these shows and books.
That's right.
That we haven't finished.
That's right. I got to binge.
And so we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.